When you think of love, what do you think of? I'm talking about the description. I'm talking about words that you connect with the word love. I'll just let you think for a second. If you said anything that relates to happiness, warmth, connection, feelings, emotions, I think you're in trouble. And let me explain why. Neurologically, in the brain, it is not possible. You can look at the studies, you can do the research yourself. Neurologically, it is not possible to consistently maintain infatuation for an extended period of time. Now, what does that mean? Infatuation is what I would call the first stage of a relationship. It's when you first meet the guy or the girl. It's when you're on a high. Everything feels good. Everything feels warm. Everything feels nice. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know all you guys know what I'm talking about, right? What happens to that infatuation? It eventually fades, right? It's not as new. And the reason behind that is because that's not how the brain was designed. So it is neurologically impossible to consistently maintain those emotions and consistently maintain that same level of infatuation. So what's the problem? The problem is that as a society, we define love as infatuation, because infatuation is emotion, it's feelings, it's fun, it's a fucking good time on a Friday night. But the thing is that will not maintain long term. And in reality, whether you want to admit it or not, we are all looking for something long term. We are all looking for that person. However, if you look for that person and you're building a relationship on infatuation, you're in trouble. Because if you're defining love as infatuation, think about it. If it's not possible to consistently maintain it, consistently being the key word, you will literally always disappoint yourself. It doesn't matter who you're with. Excuse me, it doesn't matter who you're with. Right? So what's the result of this? What's the result of a society defining love as infatuation? The result is so many people getting into consistent cycles in terms of relationships. How many friends have you met that when they meet a guy or they meet a woman, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best person ever. I think this is the one. 3 months, a year later, they're talking about how much of an asshole that person was. How many times, think about yourself, right? The funny thing is, what's the common denominator in all your failed relationships? It's you. It's you, right? So look back. So many people get in cycles from 16, 17 to their early 30s where they're constantly having 2-year relationships. They're having 2-year relationships after another, right? It's a cycle. Oh, 2 years in a relationship, 4 months single, 2 years in a relationship, 4 months single. What happens in all those relationships, right? Eventually, it doesn't feel the same. Oh, something's off. All of a sudden, this person isn't acting the same when I first met them. Something just doesn't feel right. I don't love you anymore. Oof. I don't love you anymore. Oh, man. Well, let me tell you something. A lot of relationships are ending because people don't understand what love really is. So what is love? If it's not emotions, if it's not a feeling, if it's not infatuation, what is it? Now, I should first say that infatuation is a part of love. It is the first step. Without infatuation, you cannot have a long-term relationship. But the difference is we need to realize infatuation is just the first step as opposed to defining it as the whole relationship. The meat of the relationship is action and choice. As a partner, as a hypothetical partner to you, it is my duty to perform actions on a daily basis to support you in the relationship. Now, early on, it's very easy because infatuation, emotions, and feelings are guiding you through that. You know, why is it so easy to want to surprise and drive 2 hours away to see my boyfriend so early on? It's because you're not really making that decision. It's the infatuation, it's the chemicals in your brain that are making that decision. And what happens is after a while is as these chemicals fade, it becomes a choice. A real choice. Something that's hard, something that's conscious. It's just like going to work, right? A lot of times you don't want to go to work. It's difficult. This is what happens in long-term relationships, is that sometimes it gets difficult to do things. You wake up, you're having a bad day. Oh, I don't want to go to work. Maybe I'm not feeling right. Maybe I had a night out. But you do it anyway because you know it will benefit you and the company. Right? So in this case, the company being your boyfriend or girlfriend, you have to do actions on a daily basis to make the individual feel supported, because that's what you guys are doing each other. You're supporting each other in a relationship. And all commitment is, and commitment is the big thing in a relationship, all commitment is choosing to do those actions for an extended period of time without emotional guidance. Let me repeat that. All commitment is choosing to do actions on a daily basis for an extended period of time without emotional guidance. Ask anyone who's been in a good committed relationship, and they will tell you that infatuation will come and go. It might be there for 3 months. It might go away for 3 months. Maybe it'll be there for a night, an exciting night. But then it'll not be there for the next week. That as human beings, we're not like that. And there's such a lack of knowledge, and people are ending relationships with good people because of this false knowledge and this basis that society is telling us. Now, don't get me wrong. What society emphasizes is infatuation. I'm the biggest fan of infatuation. I fucking love rom-coms. I love the romanticism in seeing two people be flirty and happy. However, you have to know that is not what a relationship is. It's not. And it's kind of sad to think about, and it's kind of scary, because even deep down that I notice, like, sometimes I still think, oh, is there someone who I will feel that feeling with every day? And not, even I want to think that, but it's just not true. It's just not. That doesn't mean it's not being in a marriage, in a committed relationship, is not a good experience. It's not fulfilling. But in order for it to be fulfilling, you have to know. You have to have the knowledge to be fulfilled. And as a society, we lack this. We lack this education. We lack this understanding. And it's not just about relationships. And this is only one aspect. This is just a definition of what a relationship is. Later on, we can go into so many different things in regards to how you operate and interact and deal with situations that arise in relationships. And then we can talk about you individually, how you self-grow, right? But this is we gotta understand the definition. We gotta understand the fucking definition. Oh, man. Because the last thing I would hate to see is for you to fall into the cycle of relationship after relationship. Oh, it's just not feeling right. It's just not feeling right. All of a sudden, you're 30 years old. You want to have a family. And you settle for somebody who you actually have less of a connection with than maybe 2 or 3 people that you were dating when you were in your early 20s. So many people this happens to, and I would hate to see that. And that is the message behind me giving you this shitty quality video in a car as I'm driving from Springfield to Kansas City. But these are things I think about, and these are ways I want to help individuals. And for those that have a voice, I would really encourage them to just talk about these things, because there's so many people hurting. There's so many people. I want to talk. I could talk for hours and hours, but I want to keep this short. So